Welcome back. Let's now talk about the incident that occurred just a few days ago involving United Airlines, Boeing 787, understand, a Dreamliner with 245 passengers, a couple of crew members who were on their way to DC in the United States around the Ivorian airspace had an incident and had to return back to Lagos. The people were also injured. We also understand there were 3 sharp descents. We're going to get to all of the details as to what played out. We're being joined in the program by Captain Ado Sanusi, Managing Director, Aero Contractors, and former CEO, Nigerian Airspace Management Agency. Thank you, sir, for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
You know, we've heard all kinds of versions of this story. So where I would like you to start from is what you've heard played out with the United Airlines incident.
Yeah, well, what we're reading and what I saw on the social media suggests exactly what you said. There was some sharp descent, and then 3 of those such sharp descents, and then the pilots decided to turn back to base, which is Lagos, or rather to Lagos, where they started from. But you know, it's an ongoing investigation. We don't want to speculate what is happening or what has happened. But I believe weather might be ruled out of it because it has to return to Lagos. I mean, if weather was part of it, probably the pilot would have tried and avoid the weather, what we call clear air turbulence, that caused such rapid descent or rapid climb, as the case may be. And then what comes to mind as a pilot, to me as a pilot, what comes to mind is a flight control problem, because that is the only thing that will make an airplane drop so abruptly from the level it's going or it's climbing, and then probably another occurrence occurred again. So that might be a flight control problem.
Was this unexpected? Is this a unique situation, or this is something that happened?
This is an incident. It's not something that is expected. But the takeaway is there are procedures, there are protocols that the pilots will follow when they see this, and I think that was followed. And I believe that's how we get it. And the aviation industry still remains the safest way to travel. So you can take it from now that all these emergencies have protocols and have ways to mitigate them. And when it happens, there are ways the pilots react to, which of course the pilots make the right decision to come back to Lagos. Unfortunately, we had some few injuries in the aircraft, but as you can see, the safety mechanism worked.
Interesting. I like how you posit that with air travel still being the safest. It's very interesting the way you situate it rather. But you said it might be a problem with flight control. Again, not to preempt anything, but you know, these issues are either of 3 things or a mix of 3 things. One, the aircraft itself, aircraft maintenance, pre-flight, and all of that. Is it a manpower thing, maybe from the pilot end? Or is it the air traffic control bit, you're not able to get communication easily and all of that? So when you say flight control, do you mean the aircraft itself? Do you mean maybe issues with the pilot or air traffic control? What do you mean? Because we need to be able to separate this. A lot of people hear the incident and they are saying, it's Nigeria's fault. you know.
No, I don't think we should start pointing fingers. Yeah. I mean, as I said, it's an incident that has happened and the investigation going on. But from a pilot point of view, and from what I've seen in the social media, the videos that I've seen with all the stuff on the aisle of the airplane, meaning either the airplane has already reached its altitude, and then there is a sudden drop in the altitude, or the airplane is climbing to reach to its altitude, and then there is sudden loss of altitude. And
so that would be an aircraft issue?
It is an aircraft issue.
Good.
It has nothing to do with the air traffic control. And I don't think the pilot will deliberately induce those sort of rapid descents, because that induces G forces that causes people to start floating and then hitting their heads or injuring themselves, and then items start flying in the cabin, those items that are not really secured. So it must be, and bear in mind, the 737-800 is one of the most advanced airplanes in the world. It is highly computerized, and that's why they even call it the Dreamliner,
right?
Because it is way advanced than the aircrafts that have been flown around the world. So it's one of the most sophisticated airplanes in the world. And I keep thinking that it must be a flight control problem, maybe with the auto flight control system, where probably the autopilot had an issue and probably disengaged, and then there is this rapid descent. Again, it is purely speculative, no, without prejudice to what they are investigating. I'm just expressing my views as a pilot.
Yeah. Let's bring in Mr. Musa Nuhu, former Director General of Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Nuhu.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Thank you for having me here today.
We're talking about 787-800 Dreamliner with these passengers. According to what Captain Ado Sanusi had said, yeah, clearly is a very powerful and a very sophisticated airline. In your view, we're hearing things like the technical problem, loss in pressure. What have you heard, and what is your, I don't want to use the word speculation, from your experience, what could be playing out here whilst we wait for outcome of investigation?
Okay, whenever you have an aircraft incident, there are all sort of reports, and all we can say is speculate. Nobody really knows what happened. The report we had was just, it had an emergency return to Lagos, and some people got injured in the process. So anything we see now, it's merely speculative. But as Captain Ado Sanusi rightly said, pilots are trained to handle all sorts of emergencies. We do go on refresher training every 6 months to review, update, and practice how to handle all sorts of emergencies. So I think we should avoid speculations. We should wait for the Nigerian Safety Board to do their proper investigation and tell us what happened. And usually, I expect them in a couple of days to come with a preliminary report, actually what they think happened. This aircraft happened, they had an emergency return, this is what they think happened. Then they do their proper investigations. Accident investigations or incident investigations do take time. Actually, there are cases that have taken several years to investigate. And sometimes an accident can happen several years after something was done to the aircraft, but nothing happened. Then it comes up and catch up with the aircraft. I can remember 747 that crashed in Japan some years ago. The investigation took several years, and they found out what caused the accident was a maintenance work, repairs that was done on the aircraft several years later.
Yeah.
And because of the pressurization and cycle of the aircraft, it finally caught up, and they had a blowout which blew the controls away, and the pilots didn't have any control of the aircraft, and they finally crashed into the mountains, killing everybody on board. So it's sometimes we think we know, but when the report comes out as something totally different, completely different from what appears to have been the cause of the accident or incident. The report we had on this, there were some serious injuries, and our prayers goes to the passengers and the crew who were injured, and we wish them quick and full recovery. But if ICAO and Ex-NCAA defines an aircraft accident, any aircraft event that has serious injury, death, or substantial damage. So if there were serious injuries, as reported, and if confirmed, then this is normal an incident. By ICAO and Ex-NCAA definition, this is an aircraft accident. And the right agency to deal with this is the Nigerian Safety Investigation Board, who have been doing a good job. And I trust them to handle this and come out with a very detailed report. And the whole idea of this detailed report is to see what is the root cause. What is the root cause? So that root cause could be several things. I could think of 1,001 things,
Indeed.
but no need to speculate. So that you deal with the root cause
Right.
to avoid the reoccurrence of such accident in the near future.
So let's follow up. Right.
Go ahead.
All right. Let's follow up with the point you made about the injuries. So we'll come back to some of the other issues raised, but I want to talk about this since you brought it up. It's been said that right after the emergency landing, that it took quite some time for emergency respondents to arrive. So I think one of the passengers had said, well, while the incident mid-air jarred them, it was troubling, that the process of landing eventually and getting medical attention was so slow that was even worse than what they witnessed mid-air. And I don't know how much of information you have about our emergency response as it is now, but what is a standard procedure? I'll start with you, Mr. Noah, and come to Captain Tennessee. What is meant to be the standard procedure, and why did they have to go through that sort of experience before getting help?
Well, emergency response involves a lot of different agencies. It involves the air traffic control coordinating with the ground services, with the airport authorities to ensure that when there's an emergency, everything is ready and waiting. Once the aircraft lands, it safely stops. Evacuation of those who have injuries is done first. Usually you practice this, the drills that are supposed to be done yearly to handle different types of emergencies, so that when it occurs, the system is ready. The system is already primed to handle the situation. I can't make any definitive comment or judgment now because we don't have actual details of what happened. And I caution again, when incidents or accidents happen, we hear all kinds of information floating out there. We need to be circumspect, and we need to be careful. We have the airport fire and rescue services who generally handle emergencies when aircraft land.
All right, Captain, so standard procedure, and I'm sure you've probably seen some of those comments saying, why did it take this long to get up?
I don't know how long it took, but standard procedures is when there's an incident or when there's an accident, and the pilot or the airport authority sees that the accident had happened, or the pilot called for from the cockpit to the air traffic control, either on a Mayday, which is a distress call, or PAM medical, which means there's a medical condition on board. The standard procedure is to alert all agencies, as the former DG has said, and Captain Musanu. But most importantly is when the pilot reports an incident or he says Mayday, that is a distress call, the airport authority is supposed to coordinate the ambulance system, including the hospitals around the vicinity, including the roads leading to those hospitals. Because the moment the airplane lands, they want to ensure that of course, with the fire service, there is free access to the hospitals for the injured passengers. So that is the standard protocol, where not only in the airport, but even the roads leading to the airports are all cleared. Ambulance systems are all on alert.
So that may take some time.
Yes, everything must be there, ready, waiting to come back to when the airplane lands to see how they can rescue as many.
No, Captain, the reason why we're asking, so two questions in one. At what point, from your experience, would the airports in Nigeria have gotten information of this incident? And what was the reason behind, I don't know how long it is from Ivory Coast to Nigeria, maybe 2 hours or so. If this is an emergency situation, why risk the lives of people down back to Nigeria, were there all the airports? I can imagine myself being in that aircraft and remembering what happened in Korea and all of this happening. I've been in an aircraft where we're just moving. At some point in my mind, I'm like, Captain, rather than go back to where you're bringing us from, just look for a nearby airport, because if the fuel finishes, that's a layman's interpretation. This plane can just drop, and this is not going to be.
No, it's a valid point.
So
it's a valid
why?
point, but bear in mind, the pilot, the captain, has to make a decision regarding the incidents. There are what we call, is it must land instant? That means land as soon as possible, or land as soon as practicable. Those are the things that he has to make a decision on, depending on the incident. And is the airport close by to him, will it suit the purpose that he is coming into to land into? So those are all the decisions the pilots will make. I believe me, the pilot would never, we are trained never to leave a landing place, or a possible landing place, with a big emergency on our hand. So I don't think that kind of emergency would have allowed the pilot over Ivorian airspace to leave Abidjan, to leave Ghana, to leave Cotonou, and then to come back to Lagos with something so dangerous on board. I don't think the pilot would do that. And I believe he made that decision because he has gone through the checklist, because every emergency must have a checklist, and he must have gone through the checklist, and he must have again assessed the situation and sees that he can land safely when he gets back to Lagos, and probably he will get more help that he would like to have when he lands in Lagos.
Okay, we really hope that we find a way around this, get the true picture of what happened, and both of you have said that we should get a true picture, and more importantly, ensure this doesn't happen again, because a lot of people have enough bad experiences they've seen in other climes, and I'm sure that they don't want to go through anything of such. But there's a particular incident making the rounds, and I want you to speak to it, both of you, and it's on the front page of some of the dailies, and it's about the variation for the Abuja runway. And I'm sure this is something both of you have seen. The variation, 700% variation. And a lot of people are thinking, is this peculiar to the aviation industry? Is this something that makes sense to the aviation industry experts? Maybe I'll start with Captain Nu and come to you, Captain Sanusi. This Abuja runway, first, how important is it? And when you see the variation, does it make sense to you as well?
Okay, thank you very much. Before I comment on the Abuja runway, I just want to make comment on the accident we're talking about. The reason I said we should stop speculations, now we have been told the aircraft flew all the way from Ivory Coast back to Nigeria with emergency. Nobody knows that. There's no official report. And when things start going out there in the public, it creates a whole different narrative. Let's wait. Was he on his way to Abuja and had a problem, and he came back, as Captain Sanusi said, pilot that train, he's gone through his drill, he's gone through his checklist, and he's decided to come back to Abuja. If he was really serious, he could have, there's so many airports, you can name 5, 6, 7, 8 airports between Abidjan and Nigeria, he will have landed there. So the speculation must stop, because speculation can spread false information in the public, creating untrue and negative perspective. On the Abuja runway, honestly, all I can say, second runway in Abuja is very, very important. Being the capital of Nigeria, with the seat of government here, if anything happens, Abuja is closed with a single runway, and we cannot afford to have that. We need to have 2 runways. And in addition to that, the traffic in Abuja is increasing. So for more efficient operations, we need to have 2 runways. The projection in the next couple of years, the traffic is going to be one of the biggest airport, one of the most traffic in Nigeria, and we need to plan ahead before we get there, and you have a chokehold. The flights are delayed unnecessary, and you don't even have adequate time to shut one runway for maintenance. So Abuja runway is very important. As for the contract part of it, I don't have any government. I don't have any comment. I don't know what the details of the contract are. We've not participated in the procurement process. So it's been handled by the ministry and the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria. I think those are the appropriate agencies to speak on the cost.
All right, Mr. No, let's bring it to Captain. Captain, your thoughts on
Captain,
it?
surprise us, Captain.
My thoughts are very clear. I mean, this is not the first time we're building a runway.
Right?
Yeah, and we are not the first country that is building a runway. Convert the money that the contractor is saying and convert it to dollars. Look at other countries. How much did they build the runway on? And if the contractor is overcharging Nigeria, blacklist him. It's very simple. I don't think we should be it should be on the pages of newspaper. We have built runways several times. We have over 22 airports in the country, for goodness sake. Why are we saying that a contractor has charged us more? We know these things. We have engineers. We have quantity surveyors. Guys, they can go and look at it and say, look, this is not what it is. Runway is not space shuttle. It's a simple thing that you build. So I don't know why we're even having a discussion on it. If the contractor has overcharged, look at it. Let professionals look at it and say it's overcharged. It's simple. Very, very simple. There is nothing complicated about a runway. It's a road that is about 3-4 kilometers and has a certain thickness. Yeah. That's all. So the civil engineers can do the costing. I don't think it's a big problem.
Because the National Assembly is making a big deal about
as Captain Musa said, it is important to have a second runway in Abuja because the traffic is building and it's a seat of government. And whenever there is any head of state's movement, ECOWAS meetings, all that, the runway gets closed and traffic gets really messed up coming into the airport. And especially the coming in from Abuja, from Lagos and other places. And when there is VIP movement, it creates a bottleneck. So we need a second runway. There is a need for it, even if the traffic does not permit for us, but we still need it because of VIP movement. Now, the contractor was given a contract. Yes, there was change in foreign exchange, dollar to naira. But that doesn't mean that we should close our eyes. We should just change the amount he's costing and change it to dollars and look at what Ethiopia built, what Senegal built, what all the other countries in Africa, not even to talk about outside Africa, and then compare it.
Okay, absolutely. So whatever it is for us to build our runway, we have to build our runway. Yeah, that's the truth. Captain Musa Nuhu, former Director General, Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority, thank you so much for coming on the program. Also, Captain Ado Sanusi, Managing Director, Aero Contractors, and former CEO of Nigerian Airspace Management Agency. Gentlemen and captains, thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
We appreciate it.
Thank you. Just one last comment. You keep referring to me as a former DG. My tenure expires February 23rd, and February 24th, you can call me the former DG.
My sincere,
we'll slow down.
My sincere apologies on that.
Thank you. I see everybody refers to me as the former DG. I have not resigned. I have not been fired. My tenure ends February 23rd.
So let's say it again.
I have the title former DG on my forehead. Thank you.
So let's just say DG-NCAA so that we'll contextualize it. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Captain, thank you as well. All right, I'll take a quick break now. When we come back, we'll shift gears to the next part of the conversation. Join us again.